Ah, what a beautiful and peaceful day.
I have come to claim your soul, you filthy... Uh, what are you?
I'm part human, part film camera. Why is that gonna be a problem with the whole taking my soul thing?
No, but you look weird, kid. I don't know what else to tell you.
First of all, hurtful. Second of all, I think taking my soul is a little extreme, don't you think?
Well, yeah, but I've just been bummed lately.
Why's that?
Well, there's just no good Lego content out there anymore. And I mean, look at me. I'm a Lego man.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The Lego Movie Part 2 came out 4 years ago, and it looks like we'll not be getting another one of those movies anytime soon. Also, ever since Cartoon Network just gave up on Ninjago, everyone forgot about it, and because of that, it feels like Lego media has just ceased to be.
Wait, you remember Ninjago?
Yeah, it was my literal childhood. How could I forget? I was actually just about to make a review on the first season if you want to join. Unless you're gonna be too busy sucking my soul out, in which I guess I can just cancel the video.
No. I mean, you can finish working on this video and maybe I'll join you. But I'll stay out of the shot.
Why's that?
Oh, to make it easier for the editor to not have to add so many assets every time one of these shots come up. You know, the usual.
Oh. Thanks, man. That was weird. Anyway, I'm gonna continue with the video.
Yes, continue with the video. I'll just be standing over here staring directly into your soul the entire time you're talking.
Well, you're a weirdo. Anyway, Ninjago was a Cartoon Network show that first aired on January 14th, 2011. The show was a major stepping stone in my childhood, with it being my first introduction into serialized media. Which, back then, this was a game changer to my kid brain. Of course, after a while, I stopped watching Ninjago like most of the other people who experienced it. However, it was a major influence on kids with its intriguing story and relatable characters. It even became popular enough to get its own Lego Movie-style adaptation in 2017.
Which is garbage.
Yes, it is garbage, and probably deserves its own video talking about how horrible that movie is and how it completely disgraced the franchise. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that Ninjago was, and still is today, a big part of my life, and that is why I'm an adult making this video about a children's cartoon. Also, this show has one of the greatest songs in all of human history.
Come on, let's do it again. Just jump up, kick back, whip around, and spin.
As long as you're not hearing him sing it. So let's go ahead and pop into this review, starting with... So the show started out with a 4-part special introducing us to the characters and the world that we would be in for the rest of the series. On the DVD I have of this 4-part special, it combines the first 2 parts into one, and the same for the other 2 parts. So that is why the 2 titles are combined. Anyway, let's go ahead and start the review now. The story starts out with Kai and his sister Nya as they have an armor shop in a little town. Sensei Wu comes and pays them a visit, trying to tell Kai that his impatience will be his undoing. After Sensei Wu leaves, a skeleton army led by Samukai comes and begins to attack the town. Kai protects the town best he can, but is beaten down by Samukai, and Wu has to save him. Meanwhile, 2 of the skeleton soldiers find a map hidden in the samurai shop. When they get this map, they all retreat, taking Nya with them. I don't know why they took his sister, because it's not like they knew that Sensei Wu was going to train Kai to become a ninja and help get the golden weapons, and then they could use his sister as leverage later to get the weapons and use them for evil. But who knows? Maybe that was all part of the plan. Anyway, after this, Kai asks for Sensei Wu's help in getting his sister back, and he offers to train him in the ways of being a ninja and learning spinjitzu. By the way, spinjitzu is where you spin, then you jitsu. Yeah, that makes sense. Wu then explains to Kai about how Samukai is being manipulated by his brother Garmadon. When Wu and Garmadon were children, Wu's father created the 4 golden weapons, which he tasked his son to take care of after he died. Now, Garmadon is using Samukai in order to get his hands on the golden weapons. Wu and Kai climb a mountain up to the monastery, which, by the way, I have the actual set of, and I am very proud to have and show to you. Seriously, where are all the ladies at? Look at this. So when they get to the monastery, Wu tells Kai that each day he shall try to get through an obstacle course before he finishes his tea, and if he fails, they will try again tomorrow. Which, this seems really counterproductive. I mean, I get you're trying to teach him the ways of a ninja, but they could be torturing his sister right now. Could we hurry this up? Anyway, Kai finally completes the test after like a week. That was pretty fast. And then Wu says his final test will be tomorrow. That night, however, he is ambushed by a bunch of ninja. He fights them off until Wu stops the fighting. We are then introduced to the rest of the team with Cole, Zane, and Jay. They are all then given new costumes because I guess Master Wu used his spinjitzu ability to take all their clothes off and replace them with new ones. Kinda creepy. Anyway, after this, all the ninja head on their way to get the first golden weapon. When they get there, they find that the skeleton army is already looking for the weapon, so they sneak in and steal the map from Samukai. They realize that they are digging in the wrong place and find where the golden scythe is. They then take it but gain the attention of the skeleton army and have to fight them off. While they are fighting them, they end up figuring out how to do spinjitzu. How, you may ask? Well, all they had to do was think that the skeletons they were fighting was actually just like the training, and now they know spinjitzu. I don't know how the science of this works, but let's just go with it. After they beat the skeletons, the dragon that was protecting the weapon shows up and they have to use the golden weapon to stop it. They end up being able to get away and they head off to get the other 3 weapons. Meanwhile, Samukai confronts Garmadon and Garmadon tells him to let them think that they are winning. I mean, for this to be first impressions of the show, it's not doing that great of a job so far. We mostly focus on Kai throughout the episode, and we don't really get introduced to the other ninja except through some unfunny quip. Speaking of which, this show is not that funny so far. I think I remember it being funnier later, but right now we need to work on the comedy. Also, the writing for this episode is horrible. There are cool aspects to it, but then you get some random decision being made in order for us to get to that moment. Also, the episode is paced really fast, and it felt like we didn't spend more than 3 minutes in one location. I know I'm being hard on this first episode, but that's just because the nostalgia of how great this show was is something I want to see from it, and right now, I am not seeing that. Anyway, on to the next part. The story for this episode starts out with a ninja on a boat headed towards the location of the next Millennium item. Golden weapon. Sorry, still coming off that Yu-Gi-Oh video, I guess. Anyway, while there, Wu randomly decides to tell them about the Tornado of Creation, which is where 4 ninja can combine their spinjitzu in order to make one big spinjitzu and create anything their mind desires. Why Sensei Wu just brings this up out of nowhere is because of plot significance. Anyway, after he says this, they arrive at their next destination. We then get a compilation of the ninja collecting 2 more of the golden weapons while going through wacky hijinks. I mean, it would have been objectively better if we got to see more of these interesting worlds. Heck, I think LEGO Battles Ninjago made these places more important than the show. I should make a video on that game someday. Anyway, after this, they begin to celebrate as they are going to find the final golden weapon tomorrow. Oh, and Sensei Wu does a funny little dance.
Shake what your mama gave you. Yeah, look at this one now.
That night, Kai wakes up to see his sister running away, so he decides to follow her all the way to the fire temple, where he finds that the shadow of Garmadon is waiting for him. He has his sister completely tied up, and since Kai forgot his sword, he has to take the fire sword in order to save his sister. I mean, he could have just run back to camp and got his real sword real quick, but that's just me. Also, what are the odds that Garmadon knew that Kai would forget his sword, forcing him to use the flame sword? Seems like a big leap there, man. Anyway, after Kai grabs the flame sword and frees his sister, he is then forced to face a shadow of himself that takes the sword from him. However, Master Wu shows up and uses his shadow to defeat the enemies. I gotta give it to him, that was a pretty clever way of defeating the Shadow Kais. Anyway, after this, Garmadon awakens the fire dragon to stop them. Then Sensei Wu decides that he is going to go to the underworld in order to keep the other weapons away from the sword so Garmadon can never have it. Okay, there are a few problems with Master Wu's plan here. 1. You are leaving Kai and Nya alone with the dragon that could rip their heads off. 2. You have no way of knowing if the skeletons are already getting their hands on the other golden weapons and taking them to the underworld, which they currently are doing. Anyway, despite the flaws in his plans, he decides to go anyway, and he has this pretty funny gag where he tries to drink tea on the way down like it's a train ride. Like, man, you ain't gonna get to drink any of that, why even try? Anyway, like I said, while this is happening, the skeletons steal the weapons from the other ninja and tie them up. They quickly escape and head to stop them and get the weapons back. They fight them and Jay ends up losing his voice for some reason, and the skeletons escape to the underworld. All seems lost until Kai shows up having trained his dragon off screen, and then they also train all the other dragons off screen in order to head to the underworld. Because dragons can do that for some reason. Anyway, they head to the underworld and they start sneaking around. However, spiders. They end up getting caught and have no choice but to create the tornado of creation, which could have disastrous consequences. Oh, look, it worked out fine. Good for them. Anyway, after trapping all the skeletons, they head to face Garmadon and find Sensei Wu facing Samukai. Which, I don't care if General Grievous came first, because Samukai is way more iconic. Anyway, Samukai ends up stopping Sensei Wu and getting all 4 of the golden weapons, which he decides to use to betray Garmadon. However, this doesn't work out in his favor, as no one can contain that much power, and he turns into a portal. A little anticlimactic. Anyway, this was always part of Garmadon's plan, as when the 4 weapons came together, they create a portal to another dimension that will allow Garmadon to escape the underworld and become powerful enough to hold all 4 weapons. Also, Wu says a line in the funniest way possible, and I don't think they meant it that way.
Father would not want you to do this, brother.
Anyway, Garmadon gets away, but the ninja got the weapons back, so they technically won. Then they blow up. This episode was objectively better than the other one, with the pacing issues being better and us getting a better insight into the other ninja. It did still feel really Kai-centric. However, the plot holes, other than the ones I mentioned, were lessened in this one, and that made it better. Also, through the series, the battle and the animation in general is kind of stiff, but I think I remember it getting better later in the series, especially near Season 2. I do like the skeletons, though, and do think that was the biggest appeal that allowed the show to get greenlit for a full season, but that's just speculation. Overall, I think it introduced the series well, but I do wish it would let us stay in some of these interesting locations for longer than a few seconds. I think this would have been better as maybe a 6 to 8 episode miniseason instead of a 2 episode special, because I feel like a lot of details from the writer's room were lost when having to be condensed down to 2 episodes. However, let's see what the writers can do when they have a whole season behind their belt, starting with
Episode 1, Rise of the Snakes.
The story starts out with Sensei Wu finding the ninja playing video games of themselves? I don't know how that works, but let's just go with it. Anyway, Wu goofily runs over and turns off their console and tells them that if they do not train, then they will never learn how to reach their full potential. The ninja mostly ignore his ramblings until Nya comes in and tells them that Lord Garmadon has returned and he is in Jamonico village. So the ninja head that way in a hurry, only to find out that it is Lloyd Garmadon, who is the son of Garmadon. Oh, I see you, Garmadon, getting it down with the ladies. Anyway, Lloyd is trying to convince the town that he has control of the Serpentine, which the ninja explained is an old wives' tale about a race of snake people locked underground by humans. Honestly, this was naturally told and well explained. Anyway, they threw Lloyd on a sign and head home. When the ninja get back to the monastery, Kai realizes that he took Wu's bag with him and sees a scroll that he reads. The scroll says that there will be a ninja to rise above the rest and become the Green Ninja, who is destined to defeat Lord Garmadon. Honestly, I am not even going to lie to you, but the Green Ninja is probably one of the biggest reasons my favorite color is green. That's right, my hoodie might not be green right now if it weren't for the existence of the Green Ninja and his pure awesomeness. Anyway, while they are discussing this, Lloyd is walking aimlessly through the snow when he stumbles upon the ancient Serpentine tomb. He ends up finding their leader and tricking him into hypnotizing himself, so now Lloyd has control of an entire Serpentine army. Meanwhile, the ninja decide to test who will be the Green Ninja by fighting each other. However, things get out of control and Wu has to come and stop it. He ends up finding out they know about the Green Ninja and tells them that none of them will know until they reach their full potential. So they begin training to learn their full potential until Wu has a vision that the Serpentine are attacking Jamonico village and the ninja had to stop them. When they get there, they notice that the entire town has been hypnotized and have to hide in order to not hurt anyone. They find Nya and she tells them that the staff holds the anti-venom to the hypnotization. So they begin to fight the Serpentine until Cole can get his hands on the staff. However, one of the Serpentine tries to hypnotize him but is stopped by Nya. Then Cole releases the anti-venom and saves the town. While the ninja are celebrating, the Serpentine are mad that a boy has taken over their leader. However, the second in command explains that he will be in command soon enough. He then reveals that he has control of Cole. Holy crap, this episode was great. Where was this quality in the specials? Because this episode was well paced. It explained and added new elements to the world in an entertaining and interesting way. The Serpentine are super menacing, and I can't wait to see what they do with them going forward. The only problems I have with this episode is that Lloyd just kind of finds the Serpentine after immediately explaining what the Serpentine are. I don't know, it felt a little too convenient. Also, Lloyd is kind of annoying, but this becomes majorly important later in the series. If you know, you know. Also, the use of Jamonico Village twice felt a little bit lazy, but I can understand since it takes time to build these models and places. Overall, a great episode and a major improvement to the pilot specials.
Episode 2, Home.
The story starts out with Sensei Wu looking for the ninja. Instead of finding them playing video games like in the last episode, he instead finds them training. Zane then interrupts everyone training and the other ninja wonder why he is so weird. Wu says that no matter how weird he is still their brother. Then the mailman comes and gives the other ninja their mail, but Zane doesn't get any mail. They ask him why he never gets any mail from his parents, and he explains that he is an orphan. While the ninja are doing that, the Serpentine have begun to build a treehouse base for Lloyd. Zane one night is taking out the trash and he sees a bird that is mimicking him. He feels a strange connection to the bird and decides to follow it, and it leads him to the Serpentine hideout. Zane takes the ninja there the next morning and they try to come up with a plan. They notice that it is held up by 3 ropes, so they will cut those down in order to destroy the treehouse. They cut the first 2 and the place begins to fall. However, Scales, who is the one who hypnotized Cole last episode, takes control of Cole and forces him to fight the other ninja. They fight while the Serpentine escape and all seems lost until Sensei Wu comes in with an ancient flute that counteracts their abilities and frees Cole from the trance. When they get back to the monastery, they find that it has been burnt down and the Serpentine have stolen their staff back. Kai and the other ninja blame Zane for losing them their home. Okay, but let's look at the facts here. Zane did not do anything. He showed you the Serpentine base. Were you just not going to ever go to the Serpentine base because you were afraid your monastery was going to burn down? The real idiot here is Wu, who brought Nya with him instead of letting her protect the monastery. But yeah, yada yada, story development. Anyway, Zane runs off before the ninja can apologize for blowing up at him for no good reason. Anyway, back with the Serpentine, Scales has decided that he is going to fight the general in order to take control of the Serpentine. They begin to fight, and while all the Serpentine are distracted, Lloyd steals a map which leads to the other Serpentine tribes. Anyway, the general loses after Scales uses Snake Kwon-do. Listen, I get it's a ninja show, but Snake Kwon-do? Really? Anyway, the general gets minus a tail and Scales gets plus 1 tail. However, Zane comes out and says that he did not run away because he is sad, but because he saw the bird again. He shows them that the bird found a ship in the middle of the desert that they can live in. I don't know how far a walk it is to the nearest grocery store, but they're ninja, so I guess it's easier for them. Honestly, this is a really good episode. Allowing the ninja to not understand each other fully yet makes sense since they are just a new team. Also, this episode set the seed for some really cool plot details later. If you know, you know. Like I said a second ago though, I do feel like the ninja freaking out at Zane for no reason was kinda silly and only for plot significance. Zane is a pretty intriguing character as well, and I think this episode showed that in a very well written way. Also, the music whenever Zane has a character moment is really good, and I do not know why. I can't let you listen for obvious reasons, but if you're watching this, you probably watched the show at some point. Also, the show's on Netflix. Overall, a pretty good episode though.
Episode 3, Snakebit.
The story starts out with the ninja waking up and Wu telling them they have to do chores and get the ship clean. So they do that using their spinjitzu and golden weapon. When Wu and Nya get home, Jay's parents, who own a junkyard, decide to come and have a visit. I don't know how Jay gave them the location of this ship in the middle of the desert, but okay. Anyway, they visit for a little while and he promises to visit them at the junkyard as long as they leave because they're embarrassing him. Meanwhile, Lloyd has found a new Serpentine tomb and opens it up, freeing the Vampire tribe. He says that he wants them to go to war with the Hypnobrai. They agree since they hate the Hypnobrai, but they say they need reinforcements. Meanwhile, Jay's parents get home only for the Serpentine to show up and start turning their junk into reinforcements. Meanwhile, Jay and the rest of the ninja decide to give his parents a visit. However, the dragons have started molting and must head east in order to reach their full potential. So they walk on foot, and when they get there, they find the place completely quiet. Jay realizes that something is wrong, runs in, and finds that his parents have been bitten by the Vampire and are now being turned into snakes. The only anti-venom is in the staff itself. Luckily, the Serpentine are there to ambush the ninja. So they begin to fight, and they have to fight against all of the snake vehicles they have created. By the way, I have the snake helicopter from this episode. And still no women. Anyway, they begin to get the upper hand against them until they take control of a statue of Jay his parents were making. So Jay jumps into this snake crane and hits the statue, destroying it, but not before the Vampire can escape. They think that they can't possibly catch up to them without their dragons until Wu says that the golden weapons can turn into vehicles. So each ninja turn their weapons into vehicles and head to stop them. I have Jay's plane and Kai's motorcycle, except Kai's motorcycle wasn't able to make it because he's in serious condition. Seriously, how do I not have women flocking to my doors right now? Anyway, they begin to chase the Vampire and are able to get their hands on the staff. Then they head back to the ship and heal his parents. However, the Serpentine are chasing them, so they have no choice but to activate something that Jay has been working on. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, these ninja were able to turn a boat into a rocket ship in a week. Don't ask me how. Anyway, they get away from the Vampire, but not without losing the staff to Nya's clumsiness. Women, am I right? So they end up saving the day, and Jay has a newfound appreciation for his parents for some reason. Honestly, tell me why, because all they did was almost turn into snakes. This episode gave us an insight into Jay's life and why he is the way he is. It actually makes a lot of sense now why he is an inventor type of person. Though I don't know why we went from little wings on your suits to full-blown rocket science, but it is a Lego Ninja show, so I guess I can give it a pass there. This episode wasn't as intriguing as the Zane episode, but I would say it is worth it just for the Fangpire. These dudes are awesome and my personal favorite of all the Serpentine. Screw zodiac signs, what's your favorite Serpentine? Also, having Lloyd go around and free all the Serpentine adds an interesting story structure to the show so far. However, let's see where it leads us in the next episode with...
Episode 4, Never Trust a Snake.
The story starts out with Zane having a dream where he sees the Green Ninja fight Garmadon. He sees the Green Ninja show off many attributes that each of the ninja have. When he eventually wakes up, he tells the other ninja, but this distracts them during Sensei Wu's lesson. So they are punished with having to train the rest of today and tomorrow, unless they can answer the riddle.
What is the best way to defeat an enemy?
Meanwhile, the Fangpire are about to battle with the Hypnobrai, however they stop fighting because the leader of the Fangpire is actually a good friend of Scales, meaning that they don't want to fight anymore. So Lloyd runs away in order to find another tribe to release. This time he decides to free the Anacondrai. However, when he gets there, he finds only one of that tribe still alive named Pythor. He is nice to Lloyd and they go on a mischievous run around town. They end up planning to raid Lloyd's old boarding school the next day. Even though it seems like they are good friends, we can see that Pythor is only after the map that Lloyd has. Meanwhile, the ninja are continuing to train when the alarm sounds and they head to stop Lloyd at the boarding school. They end up getting down there by a way that probably would have gotten them killed, but they continue fighting anyway. They all end up getting to the top floor through different ways and they end up cornering Lloyd and Pythor. However, Pythor betrays Lloyd and takes the map and disappears. Then they grab Lloyd and instead of punishing him, Wu tells him a bedtime story. When the ninja asks why, he says that the answer to the riddle is the best way to defeat an enemy is to make them your friend. I really like this episode. The character study of Lloyd being alone and really just wanting a friend, and that is why he wants to release the Serpentine, was really well told and made sense for the theme of the episode. Pythor is a really cool villain as well, but I don't think they really showed how devious he truly is in this episode, but he was still an okay antagonist for this episode. I didn't really like the ninja training stuff because that just felt like filler to pad out the episode. Not the best episode of the series so far, but it did do a good job of showing Lloyd as more than just a brat.
Episode 5, Can of Worms.
The story starts out with Lloyd walking around and telling the ninja that one of the other ninja messed up one of their things. One of these includes turning Zane's suit pink. However, this all ends up being a lesson from Wu trying to teach them about rumors. However, before they can continue talking, the alarm sounds. It seems that they have found the location of the last 2 Serpentine tombs and now they head to get to them before Pythor does. Zane and Cole go to the first tomb and find that it is already empty. However, they see a prophecy on the wall that says when one snake can unite all the Serpentine, they will be able to find a map to the 4 Fang Blades. These Fang Blades will allow the Serpentine to summon the Great Devourer to destroy all of Ninjago. When the ninja had to go warn the other 2 of this, they are ambushed by the worst Serpentine of them all. Like, these are the most boring and basic Serpentine. Change my mind. Anyway, they use the flute to escape and head to help Kai and Jay. Meanwhile, with Kai and Jay, they show up in the toxic bogs to find the tomb completely empty. However, Kai gets ambushed by the Venomari who poison him, and now he sees all the snakes as gingerbread men and elves. All seems lost until Zane and Cole show up to help. However, Pythor shows up, and when they try to use the flute, it gets stolen by Pythor. It seems like they are going to die until a mysterious robotic samurai shows up and stops the Serpentine and helps the ninja escape. However, then the samurai throws sleep gas on them for no reason. Like, you could have just left, man. What the heck? Anyway, when they get back, they tell all the others about the prophecy and the mysterious samurai, until the alarm sounds because they have found the location of a huge Serpentine gathering.
Look at Sensei's beard!
It's moving like snakes.
Anyway, they head towards Ninjago, which is the first appearance of it in the series, and it shall become a staple going forward. Anyway, they realize that the Serpentine are gathering underground and head down there to stop them from uniting. They do this by spreading rumors across the meeting of the different Serpentine making fun of each other. This works until Scales notices the ninja and has the Constricti capture them all. All except Zane, which thanks to his pink suit he was able to blend in with the wall. I don't know how snake vision works, but I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have worked. Anyway, after this, Zane jumps in and saves his buddies, and they are safely able to make it away. When they get home, they praise Lloyd's laundry skills. I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible with this episode, but this episode was literally on rerun for Cartoon Network all the time. And because of that, it will always put a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I don't want to watch this one. I want to watch the one where we find out who the Green Ninja is. Anyway, I feel like this episode introduced a lot, and because of that, it felt like the pilot episodes. Nowhere near quality-wise, because this episode was still good writing-wise, but it did feel like I had to remember like 40 different things from this episode alone. However, I won't go too harsh on it because it is trying to satisfyingly move from each episode Lloyd releases a new Serpentine to now each episode them looking for one of the Fang Blades. So let's see how that works out, starting with... Okay, the next episode is just more setup. But here's my Serpentine tribes ranking. Last is the Constricti because they are basic and boring. Next is the Venomari. The Venomized was a pretty funny joke the first time, but after that they become pretty basic. Next, the Anacondri. Pythor is a pretty good villain, but since he's the only one, his potential can only be stretched out so far. Second place goes to the Hypnobride. The hypnotization ability is pretty cool, but overall not as cool as the best ones, which is obviously the Fangpire. Super cool ability to turn anything into a snake, which allowed for some pretty awesome weapons for the Serpentine to use. Also, they are just super menacing with their ability to turn anyone into a snake, because that would just give me anxiety if those things actually existed. Overall, that's my ranking, and if anyone thinks that I am wrong, then they are in fact the wrong ones, and they need to die in a deep, deep pit in the lost city of Ouroboros. Anyway, moving on.
Episode 6, The Snake King.
Story starts out with Pythor digging a hole in the desert. He explains to Scales that he's searching for the lost city of Ouroboros, and he knows that it is here. He eventually finds the hatch that opens it, and the city is formed around them. How that works, I don't really know, but... You know, they are snake men, so I guess I can extend my level of belief a little bit. Anyway, after this, we see that the ninja are getting jealous that this new Samurai X is taking all the thunder from their mission, so they decide to make it a competition where the first one to find out the samurai's identity will be the Green Ninja.
Do not be jealous of this samurai. Let it inspire you. Oh, Ferris wheel!
Anyway, Kai drops Lloyd off at an arcade and goes around Ninjago City to look for the samurai. Lloyd really wants to help, but Kai explains to him that it would be too dangerous for him to come along. When Kai leaves, Lloyd notices that the Serpentine are right around the corner, and they are inviting all the Serpentine to the lost city of Ouroboros for a big fight. So Lloyd decides to dress up as a snake and sneak to the city with them. When they get there, we see that Pythor has decided to fight all 4 of the Serpentine tribe leaders in order to unite all the Serpentine tribes. He succeeds because he uses the flute that he stole off the ninja in the last episode. So he now has all the Serpentine united, and Lloyd gets caught being an imposter. Back with the ninja, they realize that Lloyd is missing and decide to go and investigate. They head to see where they last saw him and check the security cameras in order to see that he got on a bus with the other Serpentine. So they follow the trail to the lost city of Ouroboros, but when they get there, they are caught by the Serpentine. They end up in an arena and realize that they are going to be forced to fight Samurai X. They fight him until they end up using the Tornado of Creation in order to make a slingshot. Really? A slingshot is all you could think of? Not a big mech suit like the samurai has? Whatever, a slingshot it is. So they get the upper hand, but Pythor causes the arena to go on its side. Samurai X explains to them that they should hold on to the back of the mech suit, and they end up flying away. The samurai has to jump out, though, in order to make the weight sufficient. The samurai ends up fighting the other Serpentine, and then jetpacks away while the ninja are thrown onto the ground by the mech suit. Kai is jolted far away, and the samurai ends up landing there too, and he realizes that Samurai X is actually his sister, Nya. He promises not to tell the others of her secret, though, and makes it back to the others, and they all head home. Also, Wu knows that Nya is a samurai, because he's a smart old chum. I like this episode better than the last one for the Samurai X stuff alone. I do wish they had halted a couple more episodes before they decided to reveal the true identity, because we were just introduced to this character last episode. As far as twist goes, there were only a few people it could have been, but I do feel like it was set up well and the payoff was well worth it. All the Serpentine stuff was really cool. Getting to see the city of Ouroboros and the big battle between the samurai and the ninja was just the treat of the episode. Overall, pretty solid episode.
Episode 7, Tick-Tock.
The story starts out with the ninja believing they have reached their full potential. When they confront Wu about this, he says that you may have reached peak physical condition, but you have yet to reach your inner potential. He then goes on to explain to them that when Wu and Garmadon were kids, that Garmadon was bit by the Great Devourer, and that is what caused him to turn so evil. He tells the ninja that their training is finished and that he must leave to retrieve an ally. The ninja decide to hang up posters for missing fang blades. However, Zane sees the bird again and they decide to follow it, hoping it will lead them to the first fang blade. They follow it into a wintry forest where it is revealed that the bird has been a robot the entire time. Before Zane can investigate, he is attacked by a giant robot which he is able to power down. He then takes the bird into a mysterious treehouse where he sees the blueprint for the bird and decides to fix him. He then sees another blueprint under the birds and he gasps at what he sees. When the other ninja make their way into the treehouse, Zane reveals that he has been a robot the entire time. The ninjas say that this is okay, but he says he needs a minute. Makes sense, you just found out you're a freaking robot. They walk outside to find that a bunch of monsters called tree horns are attacking them, and the robot was the only thing protecting them from it. They try to fight them off, but they are just too powerful. Meanwhile, Zane is looking at his blueprints when he finds he has a memory switch turned off. When he flips it, he sees himself growing up with his creator, where he was raised by this. Until one day the man became too old and he turned off Zane's memory switch in order to save him the grief. Zane, now knowing his true past, is fired up and goes outside and helps the ninja defeat the tree horn. Then the queen shows up, but Zane unlocks his true potential and is able to freeze the queen in order to save the day. He is now okay with being a robot because he knows who he is now. Meanwhile, Pythor and the other Serpentine discover that the way to reveal the map to the Fang Blades is by using the anti-venom in the staffs. While this is going on, Wu uses Traveler's Tea in order to get to another dimension where Garmadon is waiting for him. This episode was phenomenal. Zane being a robot was perfectly set up throughout the season with the many appearances of the bird. You can clearly tell this is a plot line that the writers wanted to explore because it allowed them to flesh out this character better than any Star Wars sequel trilogy can dream of. The music is phenomenal in this episode as well. I am so glad that the Serpentine took a backseat in this episode for them to be able to tell this amazing story, and the Garmadon reveal at the end was just the icing on the cake.
Episode 8, Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
The story starts out with Nya explaining to the ninja that if you were to wildly raise your heart rate, you could reverse the effects of the Fangpire. Jay then, after this meeting, asks Nya out on a date, and she says yes. He gets so excited that he accidentally pricks his hand on the fossil of a Fangpire. Meanwhile, in the other dimension, Garmadon reveals that in this new dimension he has found a way to hold the power of all 4 golden weapons and shows his 4 arms. The two begin to fight until Wu tells him that his son is in danger. They stop fighting and Garmadon explains that the only way out of this dimension is through the Mountain of Madness, so they head that way. While this is happening, the Serpentine have found the location of the first Fang Blade in the Mega Monster Amusement Park. As Jay prepares for his date, he notices that he is starting to turn into a snake, but he decides that he will go on with the date as normal. He does have to change his date to the Mega Amusement Park instead of so the ninja can stop the Serpentine, but Nya is okay since she is the samurai and wants to stop them too. At the date, Jay becomes more and more like a snake until he eventually has to hide in the bathroom. Nya runs off in order to stop the Serpentine. The ninja find in one of the rides where they fight them, but the Serpentine end up getting the Fang Blade and getting away. When Jay goes out to talk to Nya, he sees that she is gone and then is ambushed by a bunch of people who thinks he's a snake. Racism? Anyway, Nya tries to stop the Serpentine, but they are able to take her down and reveal her identity. Jay is able to escape the angry crowd and heads outside to see that Nya is in trouble. He ends up telling her the truth about his snake conditions, and she says that he should just be himself and then kisses him, which raises his heart rate fast enough to reverse the effects of the snake bite. He then unlocks his true potential and saves himself and Nya, however the Serpentine still got away with the first Fang Blade. Meanwhile, Garmadon and Wu continue to head towards the Mountain of Madness. I would consider this episode a comfort episode. Not as crazy storytelling-wise as the last episode was, but I enjoyed it nonetheless, with the colorful visuals, the amusement park, and the silly hide that I'm turning into a snake plotline. I do wish we got more of the Garmadon stuff because he is a really cool character, but I can get over that. Overall, just a nice little episode.
Episode 9, The Royal Blacksmiths.
The story starts out with Pythor searching through a tomb for the next Fang Blade. He notices that there are booby traps, so he sends Lloyd ahead to get the Fang Blade. However, when he gets past all the traps, they find that the Fang Blade is gone. Meanwhile, the ninja are trying to figure out where the next location of the Fang Blade is when Cole says that he has seen one before. He says that a man named Clutch Powers found it years ago, and now it is in the Fang Cup, which is the trophy for a talent show in Ninjago City. By the way, the fact that they mentioned Clutch Powers in Ninjago just blew my mind as a kid. Did it do that for anyone else or just me? I'm genuinely curious. Anyway, we find out that Cole's dad has won the competition for being an amazing dancer. They say that they will go to meet with Cole's father, but there is a problem with that. His father has thought that he has been a dancer for years and doesn't even know he's a ninja. So they head down that way to meet with Cole's dad, pretending to be a quartet group. Cole's dad says that he will train them to win the Blade Cup. So they begin practicing until the big day comes. Cole exclaims out loud to the group that they are going to steal the cup and that he doesn't want to be here. However, his father hears this and runs off disappointed in his son. After this, Cole changes his mindset and decides that they are going to win the cup, but as ninja. So they go up there, but they find out that the snakes have joined the talent show and Pythor has disguised himself as one of the judges. So the snakes get an almost perfect score, so the ninja have to do their very best. The ninja get up on stage and the Serpentine tries to stop them, but this ends up helping their score and they end up getting a perfect score. After the show, Cole's father comes out of the shadows and says that he is very proud of his son. However, Pythor shows up and tries to assassinate Cole's father, but Cole jumps under the debris. The Serpentine can get away with the Blade Cup, but Cole is able to unlock his full potential and save his father. Also in the side story, Garmadon and Wu make it to the portal out of that dimension, and Garmadon, makes him think that he betrays him, even though I know he ends up helping them in the next episode, so what's with the fake out, guys? This episode was very generic, with its boring liar revealed story. I'm not saying anything against liar reveal stories, but this felt rushed and just kind of happened because Cole couldn't keep his stupid mouth shut. Other than some of the jokes, this episode just didn't fit well within the series.
I have butterflies in my stomach.
Oh, come on, that's just nerves.
No, I really do have butterflies.
Okay. Glad he got that out of his system.
Also, the side story is basically everything I said a second ago, plus it feels like they have just been walking around for 3 episodes. I mean, they are in a different dimension. Could we have more interesting monsters than mud and rock monsters? Anyway, probably the worst episode of the season, but it's still not too bad with it just being pretty generic, which just goes to show the quality of the season.
Episode 10, The Green Ninja.
Oh, this episode was so hyped for me when I was a kid. I was so ready to watch it, and then I missed it. Because something came up and I didn't get to watch it until I got the whole first season on DVD. I mean, I had to find out who the Green Ninja was through a previously on panel. You can't do that to a kid, man. And all the Cartoon Network would play was the same reruns over and over when I just wanted to see who the frickin' Green Ninja was. Sorry, some childhood trauma there. Anyway, the story starts out with Kai trying on the Green Ninja suit in order to see if it would allow him to unlock his true potential. It does not, but Sensei is back and they all go to see him. However, they find out that he is with Garmadon and they try to fight him before Wu stops them. He explains the situation to them and tells them to behave with Garmadon since he is a guest. However, Kai cannot bring himself to trust Garmadon, and as time goes on, he becomes more cynical towards the idea of defeating him, thinking that it will unlock his true potential, and he will become the Green Ninja. Kai ends up overhearing Wu tell Nya that she may be the Green Ninja, and that the weapons will react around her if she is. But Garmadon catches Kai sneaking on them, and they get into a conflict until Nya stops them and tells Kai that she doesn't want to be the ninja anymore because it would ruin what she has been able to do for herself. Take note, modern Hollywood, this Lego Ninja show is how you write independent women. Anyway, Cole comes in and tells them that the bird found the serpentine. When they get to the bridge, they find out that the serpentine are going to the volcano where Kai fought Garmadon in order to find the third Fang Blade. So they head that way, and when they get there, they are told to put their golden weapons away as it will cause the volcano to become unstable. So they head in and find Pythor digging up the Fang Blade, but he sees the ninja and tells the serpentine to attack. The ninja all start fighting the serpentine, and Kai decides to pull out his weapon for some reason. This is honestly so stupid. Like, they just told you that it'll make the entire volcano explode. Do you want to die, man? Anyway, as expected, the volcano begins to go unstable, and Garmadon runs up and saves his son. Kai ends up stopping Pythor from getting the Fang Blade, and they run off. Kai is determined to get the Fang Blade, thinking he will unlock his true potential. Meanwhile, Lloyd falls and ends up in danger. So Kai has to make a choice, either to save Lloyd or get the Fang Blade. He ultimately decides to save Lloyd, and by doing so, he unlocks his true potential. When they get back to the ship, he explains to the team that he found out his true potential when he realized that he would never be the Green Ninja, and his job would be to protect the Green Ninja instead. So they put all the weapons up to Lloyd and reveal that he is the Green Ninja. Meanwhile, Pythor finds the third Fang Blade at the volcano. I think I appreciate this episode more now that I am an adult. Which is weird when we are talking about a kid's show. What I mean is, I was initially mad that Kai was not the Green Ninja. However, now that I'm an adult, I understand that was the whole point of this episode. The whole point of this episode was to show what a cynical person Kai was, and why he would never be destined to be the Green Ninja. He was too obsessive with being the greatest instead of protecting people, which is why at the end he has to choose between the Fang Blade and saving Lloyd. It makes sense because a lot of the viewers of the show at the time liked Kai and wanted him to be the Green Ninja. Nowhere near the level of writing of TikTok, but still, this episode was really well written nonetheless, even if I didn't see it at first. Also, I didn't like the fact that Lloyd was the Green Ninja back then because he was a selfish little jerk. But knowing the character he ends up becoming, it actually makes sense, and you can see the writers had a plan.
Episode 11. All of nothing.
The story starts out with the ninja interrogating a serpentine on the streets. The serpentine tells them that Pythor is already at the location of the last Fang Blade, and no one will be able to stop him. So they head back to headquarters and try to come up with a plan. They realize that Pythor must be holding the other 3 Fang Blades at a secret location, and they realize that the Serpentine have created a massive cave underneath Ninjago. So they decide that while Pythor is busy taking care of the last Fang Blade, that they will steal the other 3. Everyone ends up going on the mission except Lloyd and Garmadon. They get down to the caves through one of the Serpentine tombs and find all the generals waiting down there for them. Meanwhile, Lloyd finds his father stealing all the files on the ninja's computer. Lloyd blames him for his evil actions and tells him to leave. However, after he leaves, Nya calls and says that they are in danger. They are all fighting through hordes of Serpentine, using everything they have learned to stop them, and it looks like they are about to get the Fang Blades when it turns out to be a trap and they have been captured. They try to contact Lloyd through the Samurai X suit, and he says that he is going to head in there to stop them. However, Kai is impatient and instead decides to try an escape attempt, which ends up going poorly, and they all end up chained up instead. Lloyd is headed into caverns with his Green Ninja outfit on and immediately gets caught, which shows how inexperienced he is. It's good they showed him having flaws instead of immediately becoming awesome as soon as he was prophesized to be the Green Ninja. Talking about you, Star Wars the sequel trilogy. Anyway, it looks like he is about to be caught as well, until Garmadon shows up with his skeleton army ready to fight the snakes. So they all start fighting, and they are able to free the ninja who steal all the Fang Blades, and they get out of there while the skeletons continue fighting. When they get back on the ship, Garmadon tells Lloyd that he has to go, but before he leaves, he tells his son that he wants his good boy to become a great man that will one day be powerful enough to face him. I'm not tearing up. You're tearing up. Anyway, the ninjas celebrate their victory, saying they will destroy them tomorrow. However, Pythor has infiltrated their ship. It's almost as if you could most certainly say that we have an imposter among us. This was a pretty great episode. Seeing the flaws of this now revealed Green Ninja really show that they don't just plan to make him a prophecy, but rather an actual character with flaws and daddy issues. Also, Garmadon is a great character in this episode, with the return of the skeleton army being a great treat to end off the episode. Also, them getting all four right before the two-part finale leaves so much intrigue for what is going to happen next. But we'll just have to find out, starting with
Episode 12, The Rise of the Great Devourer.
Oh, you know this episode was hype when I was a kid. And I actually didn't miss this episode. The story starts out with Wu having a vision of him and Pythor both being eaten by the Great Devourer. Meanwhile, they are headed towards the hottest volcano in all of Ninjago, which is the only place where the Fang Blades can truly be destroyed. While this is happening, Lloyd is trying to train to become the Green Ninja when Pythor reveals himself to him. He ties him up and goes back into hiding. Why Pythor does this, I have no idea, because he could have just continued to hide and not raise any suspicion, but I guess he's an evil dude and had to mess with this little kid. Anyway, the next morning they end up reaching the volcano, and the ninja comment that Sensei Wu has been distant. They try to talk to him, and he tells them that he will not always be around, and when he is not, it is their job to take care of Lloyd no matter what. They don't understand this and prepare to throw the Fang Blades in the volcano. However, Pythor sabotages the ship and it starts to turn sideways, causing them all to almost fall into the volcano. So while they hang off the ship, Pythor grabs all the Fang Blades and starts to leave until Lloyd shows up and tries to stop him. Even though he's so undertrained, he ends up distracting him long enough for Samurai X to show up. Samurai X tries to stop Pythor, but he jumps off the ship and is caught by Scales on a snake helicopter. Anyway, the ninja begin to chase them, and Pythor and the Serpentine jump onto a bus in order to get away. When the ninjas start to catch up, they turn the car into a snake in order to stop them. However, they are able to board the train and after much fighting are able to make it to the front of the train. However, Wu stops them and says his destiny is to face Pythor alone. So the ninja are stuck where they are until Lloyd comes and picks them up with the ship. So they head to stop Pythor. Meanwhile, Wu is fighting Pythor when the train crashes into the city of Ouroboros, which leaves Wu immobilized. While Wu is down, Pythor is able to make it to the statue of the Great Devourer and put all the Fang Blades into place. However, when he tries to see the Great Devourer come out of the statue, it just falls down because the Great Devourer is under them. So Pythor tries to run away, but Wu stops him, saying that he will face the chaos he has caused. The ninja then show up right as the Great Devourer is released. I don't care what anyone says, this Ninja Kid show is awesome! There personally wasn't much to talk about considering most of the episode was the big chase scene between the Serpentine and the ninja, but it was a lot of fun. The music in the serious parts, like when Wu falls into the volcano when the Great Devourer released, is really good. I feel like it all had been building up to this, and now we're going to see the payoff with
Episode 13, Day of the Great Devourer.
The story starts out where the last one left off, with the Great Devourer being unleashed, and Wu and Pythor both end up getting eaten by the Great Devourer. The ninja have to run away, and after a long chase scene are thankfully able to get away, but not without the loss of their ship. So they try to come up with a plan, but all seems lost. This is until Kai comes up with a plan, and they head to the junkyard to find supplies. When they get there, Kai shows them a blueprint that I guess he's had the whole time? I'm just saying, if he had come up with this plan before the Great Devourer was released, why didn't they build it before? Anyway, they create a mechanized weapon that uses the sound of the flute in order to blast the Great Devourer away. So they end up using it to defeat the Great Devourer. Oh, what's that? It gets destroyed after like 5 seconds? Well, that sucks. Anyway, after it gets destroyed, the Great Devourer is headed towards Ninjago City. And if it is able to consume the city, there will be no stopping it. So they head to the city where Garmadon has just found out about the Devourer, so he searches for the ninja. When the ninja get to the city, their dragons from many episodes show up again in their ultimate form. But they are sadly taken down by the Devourer. Yeah, I have to admit, this dragon's awesome, and I wish I had the set for it. Maybe that's why I don't get any women. When Garmadon finds the ninja, he tells them that the only way to defeat the Great Devourer is to let him use the golden weapons in order to destroy him. So after much hesitation, they give him the weapons, and Garmadon says that they need to find a way to keep the Devourer in one place in order for him to destroy it. So the ninja end up going through a big chasing where they end up tying him around the building and making him swallow his own tail. So now he's stuck there, and this is right on time for Garmadon to show up and use all the weapons to destroy the Great Devourer. After the destruction, Garmadon is gone with the ninja's weapons, so they are stuck without their powers. However, the good news is that Wu is still alive. How he survived is beyond me, but he survived nonetheless. Anyway, even though Garmadon is gone, they will train Lloyd to stop him once and for all. In the next season. You know how the lead up to Christmas is always better than Christmas itself? Well, that is kind of how I feel about this episode. It isn't bad, just meh. It feels like we were just running around for 20 minutes trying to find different ways to defeat the Devourer. Also, I wish Garmadon had played a bigger part in facing the Devourer. I feel like rather than just being the Deus Ex Machina against it, he should have faced the creature that is the literal reason he is evil. Also, Wu should have died. The series had clearly been leading up to the ninja being the new masters to Lloyd while allowing Wu's teaching to guide them in spirit. This is just a theory, but I think that Wu was supposed to die, but the higher-ups at Cartoon Network didn't think that death was a good idea to put in a children's Lego Ninja show. Overall, a meh episode to be the finale, but it was still pretty fun to watch. So, that's the entire season.
Thank you for giving me exactly what I want.
What do you mean?
Well, you got some decent Lego content out there once again for people to enjoy, and now I get to suck your soul out.
Wait. I thought if I did the video, you wouldn't suck my soul out.
No, I would let you finish making the video, and now it's time for my prize. Ah!
Ha! Looks like your plan didn't work.
What? You should be soulless right now.
You can't lose a soul if you never had one. Also, the Great Devourer's behind you.
What? No! This can't be! Ah!
Finally, I can move on to the conclusion. So, would I consider the first season of Ninjago to be good? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I can understand why some people wouldn't watch it, this animated kids show, but between the writing and the characters, this show just is an incredibly fun journey to watch again. This show is something that is important to me, and I feel like a lot of people felt the same way about it. That is why I plan on going through the entire series through multiple videos in order to let people have some of that Ninjago nostalgia back, while also critically analyzing the show to see how it lasted for 15 seasons? This show lasted 15 seasons? I didn't get through season 4. I will always look back at Ninjago fondly, even if the show were to be terrible during this review. I would have still had the memories of every Friday going to my grandma's house and sitting down and watching the new episode on Cartoon Network. This was a show that inspired me to want to be a filmmaker, and part of the reason why I love movies and TV as a whole. Anyway, I'm glad you sat down and watched me review this children's show critically, and I hope you got something out of it. Thank you. Seriously, and still no women?